Greetings and salutations, my name is JW608, and today I am playing StarMade. And we are back to the basics. These basics being beams. That's right, we're going to talk about beam weapons today. What do you need to build a beam weapon? Well, you need a beam computer, a damage beam computer, and a damage beam module. You also need some power. I have the little testing platform we used from last time. Let's clear a little of this out. And the same basic principles apply. Put down a computer, press C to select the computer, or make sure it's selected rather, and then you put down modules. And that is a beam computer. And once again, each module, the power requirement when fired or in cooldown is equivalent to having one reactor block. So that way you can plan that out. And again, to assign it, you go into flight mode, press G, and drag it down to the appropriate button and click to fire. That is a single click. You noticed it fired and it's still firing. Let's see, let's point again and we'll go click, and I'm moving around. It's doing its thing, and you'll notice the cooldown for the beam is a lot more than for the cannon. The cannon was relatively quick. Well, the beam is a longer cooldown. But there's a few things about the beam we'd like to look at. Well, first of all, let's get us a target. We'll grab this little guppy yacht again. Oh, moving. Huh. So, beams. Beams are EM damage, or electromagnetic. I'm assuming that's what it stands for. See, when I hover over the computer, it says heat 33%, kinetic 17%, EM 50%. So their heat goes up against armor, kinetic goes up against systems, and EM against shields. So beams are good against shields. So notice the first of all, actually, for comparison, let's get our cannon out. Now, this is something I do frequently. I have cannon barrels and damage beam modules in my hotbar, and I confuse them one for the other because they have similar appearances. And let's have an equal cannon. So then let's pull the cannon computer down here, and we go click. That took about 5% of its shields. You notice at the top it dropped down to 95%. So let's clear this off while we wait for our target to recharge, because the shield is, or the cannon is not as strong against shields as it is other things. Let me turn. There we go. Turn so we have a better view of the shields up here. Up here is the status of your targeted entity. So notice it, when I shot it with the cannon, that 100 went down to 95 point something or another. So we're about to click on with the beam. I'm going to click and release. My hand is off the mouse, and it is not doing much better. All right, in this case, we're going to keep the hand on the mouse. There we go. See, and for a full cycle, I took out 67% of the shields. Or not 60, I took it down to 67%. Ah, when I told you to click and release, that was an old feature of Power 2. There was beam lock-on. That was changed in Quickfire, and I'm just not remembering this. Used to be, in Power 2, you clicked, and it continuously, it shot wherever you were looking and kind of moved around. There was beam lock-on, so it was easier to target an entity. Whereas now, the basic beam just, it's a hold-down weapon. Sorry for my confusion there. And now our shields are about to be gone. Well, the guppy shields are about to be gone. And now it's going to start working on the armor. And that shieldless armor, let's see, just pick some of that. And it does very little. In fact, on these systems, comparing it to cannon more directly, these systems take a lot longer to break. See, I was hitting these with just moments on the moments touching the cannon. These thrusters are taking longer to break with the shields because, or with the shields with the damage beam, because damage beam is specifically designed for shield shredding. Usually, that's what I call it, a shield shredder. And you can have multiple, again, you can have multiple groups of the modules. And that's what I really like to do for shields. Well, we're going to drop these to 5s. All right, and let's do like that. Pop those off and make these into arrays. Not a raise, but an array. Actually, yeah, it's only one array. There we go. And then you can wait for it to recharge. Because every module recharges independently. They each have their own cooldown, and it gets a little messy, but still. Now it's focusing all those together, and I'm still just barely scratching the paint. So let's bring in something a little more substantial. How about one of my square fighters, which is a actual fighting vessel, one of the most beautiful ships I've ever created, and it has 32,000 shields. And notice how it's dropping them. Took out 5% of the shield. That is impressive for how pathetically weak this module or this weapon is. It will tear through the shields, but as soon as it hits the armor, it's not going to be as good. Okay, let's improve its shield ripping capabilities. It's probably going to overload my reactor. Yeah, I'm sitting at 60%. No, it didn't. There we go. That took 19% of this thing's shields. Now, once the shields are gone, it's going to struggle as much as it did with this armor, because that should do nothing to the shield, and then it's gonna eat through the armor, but it's gonna take it a lot longer, and that was compromised armor. Now the problem with this is these things don't stand still. In a battle, everything's constantly in motion, and that's one of the better things about a beam, is that you click, it hits immediately. It's a beam of light. So if you're quick with the mouse, it's easier to track. Let's see. Actually, let me show you. We're going to go into God mode. Oh, yes, I meant God mode. GW608. True. That way I don't get hurt while doing this. And let's mass spawn. Add a square fighter, not a square fighter carrier, please. And we want to make it a pirate, which is -1 faction. Now we have an enemy square fighter. And look at him move. And see, I can click and hit him. Just have to keep the mouse cursor on him. And that's not too bad to hit. And of course, without God mode, I would be very, very dead at this state. See, that's not too difficult. Now, let's compare that to our cannon. And we're going to give ourselves a benefit here by putting the cannon barrel right over the camera. It's a little easier to aim that way. So now I have to find them, and I have to actually lead my shot. That's what that little purple pinkish box is. That's where the computer thinks it'll be by the time my shot gets there. You notice I haven't hit him. Oh, there was a hit. See, there was a blue X in my targeting system. That means it was a hit. And you have to be a fairly good pilot. In fact, you can zoom in a little. I don't know if that helps it or hurts it. Oh, that was close. Oh, those 2 hits. So I've gotten in 2 hits. 3 hits. It was the beam. You just point and click. And if you're off, just drag it over. Let's get a little closer. See whenever the cursor bit turns green, that means, hey, you're looking at something. There we go, another hit. Now that my mouse moving and whatnot makes this more difficult. There's a hit. And it's keeping hitting. It only shows the initial hit, I think. Or initial hits. So it's a hit and sustain. There we go. Like his shields go down. So that is one of the benefits of let me get rid of him. Ow. One of the benefits of beam is it's easier to aim. Cannon is a little trickier to aim, but it hurts armor better and it just rips through systems like it's nothing. So there are pros and cons with each of these things. I think they're fairly well balanced. Let's see. We'll go more over targeting and combat and all that later, but just as a quick example, that's one of the benefits of beams. If you have a bad aim, use a beam, or just get really close. If you have a horrible aim like I do, then you skip these two and use missiles, but that is for later. So beams, their primary use is for accuracy, for quick and dirty accuracy for high-speed combat, and for shield treading. They're great for that. In fact, on my larger capital ships, I like to have shield treader beam arrays, so I can just hit my target, rip its shields apart, then have my turrets continue to do damage, then switch over to a main weapon to actually damage the systems and reactor and all that. We haven't talked about ship HP and how to kill a ship. Again, we'll probably talk about that when we cover combat, but right now we're covering building for combat. All right, so there we go. That is... Oh, you can, by the way, you can place down modules that aren't linked to a computer, but they don't do anything. You have to link them to the appropriate computer. So if you want to use these as decorative blocks, you can. Because that is a kind of cool texture you got going there. You can use that for like a walkway or a science thing, although you have another block that looks more like... It's cooler looking and it's animated. Let's see, where is it? Conduit? Yeah, regular old conduit. Not reactor conduit. See, it's sort of... Well, I guess... I don't know if it's cooler looking, but it's animated. So you can use these decoratively if you so desire. You won't have a laser bolt coming out your kitchen or whatever. So that is beams. That is beams. Those are beams. Those are beams. That sounds better. Great shield ripping, great accuracy. They don't pack a lot of physical punch, though. In fact, they pack no kinetic energy. Like we talked about cannons yesterday, it'll actually spin your ship and your target. There's no kinetic energy imparted by beams. Anywho, quick look at beams. I have been JW608. This has been StarMade, and I will do you cats later.